Welcome to Tech Insight with Arun. So today we are going to discuss about one of the most popular tool, and every one of us are excited to learn and understand about this tool as it is widely used within the industry. So I'm talking about the tool DBT. DBT stands for Data Build Tool. It is an open source tool and mainly designed for transforming and modeling the data within your data warehouse. So your data warehouse could be anything like a Snowflake, BigQuery, or Redshift, or any RDBMS. So with this tool, we can create the models using the SQL query, uh, and that will define your transformations. So with this tool, like your raw data will be transformed and it will be available for the analytics. So in the world of a data warehousing, uh, we all are aware about the term ETL. So ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. So we are extracting the data from the multiple sources. We are applying the transformation logic as per the business rules, and then we are loading this data into the target warehouse. So along with the ETL, we have a terminology called ELT. So that is, we are extracting the data, we are loading this raw data into the warehouse, and then we are applying the transformation on this raw data. So this transformation part in the ELT, so this is taken care by DBT. So DBT is mainly designed for the transformation in ELT. Okay, so now DB2 have provided us two products, so DBT Core and DBT Cloud. So DBT Core, it is a open source tool, and it we can interact with it using the CLI commands like executing the model, testing that model, creating the documentation, uh, like that. And uh, along with that, we have a DBT Cloud. So this DBT Cloud is built on top of this DBT Core, and it provides the web-based interface which we can use as an IDE. So this cloud version, the basic usage is free, and the entire enterprise version is definitely paid. So talking about the core components of this DBT, so the mainly models, tests, snapshots, and documentation. So we can create a different models by using the SQL queries, and that will define your transformations or the transformation strategy or the cleaning strategy. Then on this model, we could uh, apply the test, so that will validate your model to have the higher data quality. Now with these transformations, we could modify a data, and the clean set of data will be stored in the data warehouse. So we could modify this data multiple times. So with these modifications, each snapshots or track a record is getting created, and that we are representing as a snapshots. Then we can create a documentation for all the model processes or the data processes, and that can be easily automated within this DBT tool. So here we can see raw data, it's coming from the warehouse, and then we create the model on this raw data, apply the transformation logic, and then we provide it for the testing, or we create the test on top of that, and then we deploy that to the dev or QA environments, and then we finally we get the cleaner or cleaner set of data, which will be ultimately used by the BI tools, ML models, or any analytic for the analysis purpose by any analyst. Now DBT have provided some core principles. So on with the help of these principles, we could relate our application or our requirement, whether it is suitable to use DBT or not. So let us take insights on this. So first is a data warehouse centric. So data warehouse centric, as I mentioned, we have different we could use different warehouses or different vendor warehouses for the DBT. For example, Snowflake, Redshift, uh, Teradata, MySQL, or any RDBMS databases. So uh, initially the data is injected into this warehouse, and then we could create the data models by using the SQL language, and that will be used for the transformations. Then next is the ELT workflow. Okay, so this workflow represents in the traditionally we used to have the ETL. So in the ETL we used to load the data first, and then we used to apply the transformation. But in the DBT only supports the ELT process. That is, it first load the data, then apply the transformation. But in case of a ETL, it was first doing the transformations, and then it was loading the data. So uh, DBT is more compatible with ELT workflows. Then we have a SQL as a DSL. So as I mentioned, SQL is the base language is used for creating the models. So we could see SQL in the DBT. SQL is used as a domain specific language. So the, when we say the domain specific, so it is actively used for all the processing, the calculation, and the transformation. So we don't need any extra GUI based ETL tools. Then it also provides the version controlling using the Git. We could manage the review process using this Git. Now next is the model dependencies. So when we say the dependencies, so in the DBT we could create a multiple models based on the transformation required, and these models can refer to other models. So likewise they can create a direct acyclic dependencies, and those dependencies will be called in a sequential order when we actually execute the model. Now once we have the model ready, the next is a data testing. So data testing, here what we achieve basically, so we could apply the inbuilt testing capabilities, like we could test the integrity of the transform data by using like null checks, not null checks, which DBT Pro provides, or we could use the custom test as well, which will be created using the SQL scripts. Then Jinja templating. So Jinja templating is basically like we need to understand what is templating. So templating is like a certain piece of thing which will be reused in some other models, or in the other applications, or maybe some SQL snippet that will be reused in other models or other projects. So this reusing this code snippet that is achieved using Jinja 2 core engine. So DB2 supports Jinja 2 engine. With that, we could achieve the reusability of the code. Then we have the CLI and API integration. So there are certain operations that we could execute through the CLI, like running the model, testing the model, creating the documentation. Also, we could integrate the CI/CD tools within the DBT pipelines. Then we have a configurations and hooks. So this DBT represents as a whole project. So it have its own repository. So we could create a deployable build versions. So within its repository, we have a dbt project.yaml file, and in this YAML file uh, we could configure the model or the uh, project specific or model specific or the global level configurations. And it could also have some hooks like for a particular model, before executing that model if I have to do something, or after executing that model if I have to do something. So we could specify those hooks within this YAML configuration file. So those are about the core principles. Now uh, we got a high overview of what is DBT and what are its main features. So like, why we should use DBT? Are there not any other product in the market that we could use for the transformation? So yes, we have other products as well in the market, like Spark is one of the famous. But why we should go for the DBT? So here are some advantages that I see that that will help us to decide whether we should use DBT or not. So first thing is low learning curve and faster response. So why low learning curve? There are two things. The first thing, like the approach for the DBT is very simple, and the actual model creation is also very simple because it is using a SQL language. And in the SQL language, if you just understand the select queries within the SQL, you will be able to create the model and test those and create the documentation and deploy that. So it is very easy for the learning, and we could deploy that very quickly. Then standardized development process. So the development that we used to follow earlier in the previous approaches, like a structured processes, the similar process we could follow for the DBT as well. That the structured engineering approaches we could follow, and that will help us for the better collaboration, the coordination within the team, and the iterative development we could achieve with the help of DBT. Then talking about the scalability. So uh, as I mentioned in the previous slide, we could create a certain code snippet, and that could be reused within the model or within the project. So similarly, we could create the macros, and with the help of those macros, we could like scale our application so that it will be used by some other project or within the department. Same macros could be used. So likewise, we could keep scaling this application. Then compatibility. So talking about the compatibility, we DBT already supports Snowflake, BigQuery, Redshift, MySQL, and many other RDBMS. So and the other warehouses like a Teradata, so that could be also supported by DBT. So most of the known or market uh, boom the data warehouses, right? Those are supported by DBT. Then visual documentation and the data lineage monitoring. So visual documents that DBT provides, that helps us to monitor the data relationships, and also it keeps the transparency for the data and its flow within the system. Then strong and growing community. So the DBT continuously like contributes the improvements and the provide the best practices for the DBT. So it also provides the ongoing supports and the updates regarding the new releases. So this is strongly recommended tool in the market that we could use in our application development. So I think with this we have got like a very high level overview about DBT, what are the advantages of this, and why we should choose this tool to use in your application. So we're going to learn each and everything in detail in the upcoming videos, like how can we set up an account with DBT, how can we install the core DBT, and each and everything, each feature we are going to learn in detail in the upcoming videos. So thank you for watching this video till end. If you have not subscribed our channel, please click on the subscribe and follow us. Thank you so much.